Hey yo, football fans, it's another great year. Fantasy football fiends, grab your beer. Giving you the best draft tips for all your picks. Starts and sits to the waiver wire fix. From my drafts galore to stats that's hardcore. Triple F does it all, have y'all screaming more. So sit back, relax, let the experts prevail. JT Magnum, Siggy Guns never fail.
What is up, fantasy football fiends? My name is Siggy Guns, along with
JT Magnum.
And it is week 10 of your fantasy football week. Week 10, obviously. We're going to be talking about the waiver wire pickers for the week, as well as our studs, duds, and papasons. And we did pretty good last week, but let's go ahead and talk about this week waiver wire pickups. Who we got at QB?
Nick Foles and Case Keenum.
Casey Keenum did very, very well against the Colts?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting who they played.
Did well in the first half. Second half was kind of like,
Pretty shocking developments, in regards to what happened at halftime. I mean, the coach collapsed. That was kind of a strange thing to go through. I'm pretty sure that impacted the team a little bit. They had to be thinking about that. I mean, here you are, jubilated. You're on top of the Colts, and it looks like it's going to be an upset, and then all of a sudden you go into halftime and your leader is down, and you probably don't even know what happened because a lot of them just ran in the locker room straight ahead.
Yeah.
That had to be a pretty weird feeling, I would imagine. Nick Foles. We've talked about Nick Foles before. What do you think? Foles go?
He's just one of those light switches. Every now and then, you're on. Every now and then you're off. But he was obviously on last week. But, I mean, 7 touchdown passes is insane.
Only played in like 3.8% of all fantasy leagues that week. It was crazy because of the fact that he has such a horrible game the last time he played.
Yeah.
You know what? This is the way I look at Nick Foles, or pretty much that whole Philadelphia offense as a whole. If they're playing a bad team, you start Foles or Vic. If they're playing a pretty good, decent team, don't play them because then they turn average. Both of them, Casey Keenum and Nick Foles, I'll suggest you pick them up if they're still available because you can't go wrong with the backup situation, especially since what happened to Aaron Rodgers on Monday night. It's never too late to have a decent backup because even when you think your guys are invincible, something like that can happen.
Or when you guys have bad matchups.
Yeah,
I mean, you might be playing a team with a really good pass defense, something like what happened with Drew Brees against the Jets, like just a bad matchup. And I mean, not that you're ever going to sit Drew Brees, but if you have a quarterback that's worth sitting just because you know somebody else is going to do better, then pick these two up or pick one of the two up.
Yep, Brees did good though, at least for me and my fantasy team. All right, running backs. Who are we talking about?
Darrell Young and Rashad Jennings. And Darrell Young was the reason why my player, Alfred Morris, last week didn't get a lot of points. And I was not too thrilled about his game.
Obviously, I would suggest not to pick him up because we've seen what Mike Shanahan does is he'll give somebody the ball 3 times in the end zone, like Roy Halou Jr. the other week.
Yeah. And Rashad Jennings he had a really monster game when McFadden went down. He just went off.
Yeah, and he's done this before. Whenever Maurice Jones-Drew went down for Jacksonville, last year, it was a couple of years ago maybe, he was the guy that was carrying the load. I actually think we should pick up Jennings. This is the second time in the last 3 weeks or so that McFadden's had some hamstring issues, and we've seen that just linger for a bunch of these players. Fitzgerald's been having hamstring issues. Miles Austin's been having hamstring, and some of the running backs that have been dealing with it is was it Steven Jackson? Is that what he had at first? I mean, it's just the hamstring has been like a bane in fantasy football players' size these last few years, and I got a feeling that Jennings is going to be somebody you should pick up.
Yeah. For wide receivers, we have Riley Cooper and Jericho Cotry. And Riley Cooper obviously had the monster game due to, Nick Foles' monster game. It just seems like him and Riley Cooper had that thing. And knowing that Nick Foles is starting, it's obviously good to pick up Riley Cooper because that's his go-to guy, it seems like.
You want to say it, just say it. It's because of
that?
white quarterbacks throwing to him. Not joking.
White quarterback to the white receiver. Yes. Poor Deshaun Jackson. Because that's Michael Vick's guy.
Yep.
That's Michael Vick's quote unquote dog, you know? And, you know, Michael Vick likes dogs.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I kind of saw this happening, and I was actually debating my own self last week with my own fantasy team. Should I pick up Riley Cooper because Nick Foles? And then I said, nah, I'll leave him on the bench, or I'll leave him. I won't try to pick him up. Sure enough, he went off.
No, and you know, in all seriousness, the reason why Riley Cooper and Nick Foles have such good chemistry is because in the second team, whenever Nick Foles was taking a bunch of the second team snaps, that's his main receiver in the second team was Riley Cooper. So
Yep.
that's the reason why it translates to that, because he was really a slot receiver, because you have obviously Deshaun Jackson on the outside, and you actually have Jason Avant, which a lot of people forget about because he hasn't done anything all year. Is really the second guy. But Riley Cooper is usually slot, or he gets in on 3-4 wide receiver sets with this offense, and he just happens to be the main target for Nick Foles because that's who he's always been throwing to at practice. So
Yeah.
that's why we talked about it before, that Nick Foles, whenever he's throwing, that this is a good pickup, Riley Cooper. If he's still out there, you got to get him, especially if Nick Foles is going to be the quarterback from now on. The other receiver we're talking about was
Jericho Cotchery.
Cotchery. He did good. He had 3 touchdowns, right? Against.
I think he had like a couple, yeah.
He had a pretty good game. It was one of those games where he was kind of like a Eddie Royal, where he just happened to be around the end zone and he would throw to him. The Steelers were playing from behind, so I wouldn't get too excited about those numbers. But it does look like, he's starting to take a lot of the lion's share away from Emmanuel Sanders, and that's something to look forward to, or keep track of anyways, in the weeks going forward, especially around playoff time fantasy football, which is really not that far away. We're right around the corner.
Yeah.
So I got to start looking at the future. So what do you think? Pick both of these guys up?
I would pick up Riley Cooper. Jericho Cotchery, I would wait on him because
Wait and
Pittsburgh,
see.
Antonio Brown's really the guy there, and so is Emmanuel Sanders. So it's he's a little rough one to pick up. Where Riley Cooper, doesn't he start opposite Deshaun Jackson right now? I think they had him
Not
starting.
Really. He might have been. Maybe he did start this past. I know he used to be Avant though as the second receiver opposite.
But with Deshaun Jackson, you're gonna get double coverage, so Riley Cooper's gonna be open. So I would pick up
definitely.
Riley Cooper. But for tight ends this week, we have one to talk about. Zach Sudfeld, who played for the Jets and scored this week, and he was the expatriate picked up by the Jets. And he was supposed to be the guy that did very well for Gronkowski being injured, and you can tell he showcased it this week, or last week.
Yeah, he was a main part of their offense in regards to the passing game, which really it was pretty non-existent. Their game plan was to run it down the throats of the Saints, but whenever they were throwing it, Zach was getting a lot of the looks. And I just think it's whenever there's a rookie quarterback, obviously Geno Smith, he's going to be checking down a lot, and the tight ends were the guys that are going to get the benefits from all this, and Zach just happens to be the guy right now. So yeah, they already lost 2 of their tight ends. Zach's the next in line, and he's doing good. Is he worth the pickup? If you need a backup tight end, then certainly, you can have that, but I wouldn't recommend having him as a starter or anything like that.
Yeah, and the 2 defenses we're going to talk about, Tennessee Titans against the Jaguars and Texans at home against, or not at home, on the road against the Cardinals. And I like the Titans, obviously, but because they're playing the Jaguars, it just seems like every team that's played the Jaguars has scored a lot of points somehow, some way. Scored a defensive touchdown or scored something, got sacks, got just a bunch of points. So keep it going. I'm pretty sure the Titans aren't owned by everybody in the league, or in their fantasy leagues. I'm pretty sure they'd probably be on your waiver wire. So this is a good week to pick up a good defense, especially if your defense has a bad matchup.
Another defense that we didn't add in the list you might want to take a look at is Miami against Tampa Bay Monday night. Miami's defense has always been, middle of the packs, pretty steady every now and then. Tampa Bay's been playing pretty bad. So I know they had a pretty good game against San Diego. I mean, not San Diego, Seattle.
Yeah.
But I mean that just happened. I mean that just we saw the real Tampa Bay in the second half. They wound up doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's another potential though. Miami's defense can score some points, but that's all the defense there. Studs, and Papa Sans. Who's your stud of the week?
Mike James. I had him on my bench last week. Should have started him. Another player that I did, and I lost my first fantasy game because of it. He was the sole reason I lost my first fantasy game. I started Arian Foster, who gave me 0 points, and Mike James didn't. And going against Miami, I feel like they're going to run. And obviously, he had a good game last week, so why not run? And Miami isn't that great against the run, so I'm going to go with Mike James.
My stud of the week is going to be the return of CJ2K. He had a nice coming out party last week. He finally got a touchdown rushing, his first rushing touchdown of the year. But now he's up at home against Jacksonville. I think the fans are starting to finally say, hey, give him the ball in the red zone, because I really don't understand why Tennessee has been giving it to Sean Green in battle in the first place. But I got a feeling against Jacksonville, he's going to have plenty of opportunity to get the ball, even if he's not in the red zone, to get 30-yard touchdown runs. I expect a huge game from CJ2K. Very disappointed if he doesn't, so don't let me down, Chris.
My dud of the week, I'm going to go with Harry Douglas of the Falcons. I know that Roddy White might play this week, but I just feel like Roddy White's going to probably be covered by Brandon Browner or Richard Sherman, depends on which side they line up. But going against the Legion of Boom, I think Harry Douglas is just going to struggle this week. He's been doing well, but not this week.
My dud of the week is going to be Cam Newton. I know he's been starting to get a lot more confidence, playing a little bit better. Certainly he's starting to look like the Cam Newton of old. But now he has to go into San Francisco and play against a tough 49er defense, and I just don't see with the receivers that they have that he's going to have anything in the passing game. And San Francisco can stop the run, particularly they know that style, especially in Carolina. And I think they're going to be very prepared, especially coming off a bye week, to handle Carolina and Cam Newton. So I expect a bad game from Cam Newton. Very poor fantasy numbers.
Yeah. And my Papa San sleeper of the week is going to go to Zach Miller, the tight end from Seattle. If you remember last year, Zach Miller torched the Falcons in that playoff game. And they just have a really difficult time defending tight ends. So and that is a true sleeper. He's probably available in every league that you might be in. So if you need a tight end, your tight end's on a bye, or your tight end has a horrible matchup this week, pick up Zach Miller, put him in. He'll probably score a lot of points for you this week. He's definitely going to get a touchdown or two.
And my sleeper, my Papa Sans of the week is going to be Terrence Williams, a wide receiver. Dallas Cowboys had a bad game last week. But I got a feeling against New Orleans, I think it's has shootout potential all over it. And we know both these quarterbacks, Tony Romo and Drew Brees, when they have these kind of games that they distribute it to everybody. And certainly Terrence Williams has solidified himself as the number 2 receiver and will be the benefactor of somebody that, what's his name, Des Bryant, going to be probably double, triple covered. So that leaves plenty of opportunity for Terrence Williams to do real good. If Jason Witten isn't the one going off. But he still should have a very solid game.
Definitely. Especially with Des Bryant. Des Bryant's getting all the double coverage, sometimes triple coverage. So that's it for the Studs, Duds, and Papa Sans and our waiver wire picks. If you have any questions or any concerns for your fantasy team, please feel free to leave that in the comment section. Don't forget to tweet at us. I'm Optimus Magnum or at Siggy V. Definitely tweet at us. We've been answering every question. We've been able to help a lot of people actually who've been thanking us, and it feels good to actually be able to help some people. So if you have any injury concerns or last minute lineup changes that you need to make, feel free to tweet at us and we'll get back to you as fast as we can. So you got anything else to add?
No, that's it. Good luck. Week 10.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Fantasy Football Fiends. We out.